Welcome to the Full Moon Film Buff, episode 161. We're going to talk about Lycanthropy from 2006. I watched this on YouTube. I had not seen this before. As always, we start with the prominent crew and cast. You can find links to a more complete credit list in the show notes. The film was written and directed by Kevin McDonough. It was also written by Natalie Gorton and David Beaumont. Kevin McDonough is known for directing Mystic Highway, Rise of the Mummy, and Idol of Evil. This film is Natalie Gorton's only credit. David Beaumont wrote 2 films, but he has much more credited work as a cinematographer and with the camera and electrical departments. He's most well known for Idol of Evil, Stag Night of the Dead, and Tied in Blood. The cast includes George Khalil as Alex Taylor, Alan Convey as Wolfgang, Rihanna Husselman as Mara, Angela Rauscher as Ishtar, Freya Erchard as Yuna, Simona Roman as Acantha, billed as Simona Berilikova, David Bradley as the club owner, Michael Boughton as Huxley, Michael Instone as Dr. David Hilton, and Helen Much as Zoe Verne. George Khalil is best known for his role in the critically acclaimed miniseries Band of Brothers, where he portrayed Sergeant James H. Mo Alley Jr. Other notable credits include The Other Half and Spartacus. Alan Covey has worked primarily in television, including appearances in the long-running British soap opera Emmerdale. In film, Convey is known for his work in independent productions including Schrodinger's Girl, The Widower, and See You at the Altar. Rihanna Husselman worked in film and television with notable credits including You're Fired, Bad Day, and The Jigsaw of Life. Angela Rauscher is known for writing for The Sonnet Project and acting in Chico's Cherubs. Freya Erchard also appeared on Baywatch. Simona Roman speaks 7 languages. Her film and television credits include Vendetta, The IT Crowd, Gallow Walkers, and The Perfect Match. David Bradley is best known for his screen roles, including Argus Filch in the Harry Potter film series, Walder Frey in the HBO fantasy series Game of Thrones, and Abraham Satrakian in the FX horror series The Strain. A character actor, Bradley has notably acted in Our Friends in the North, Edgar Wright's Cornetto trilogy, and Afterlife. That is just the tip of a very long career. Bradley has amassed a truly diverse gallery of memorable characters, playing everything from caretakers to kings across a career spanning over 5 decades. Michael Bowen and Helen Much have mostly done shorts. Michael Instone has appeared on EastEnders. I do not recommend this film. Despite the name, it does not have any lycanthropes in it, which is its biggest, but not only flaw. The plot would make a decent episode of any murder mystery show, but it gets stretched out over twice the runtime that it should take. The acting is wooden, and the characters, again for the most part, are boring. It would be better if we already knew the detective and were meeting the colorful background characters as he investigated the underground. So, let's review the synopsis. Party girl, Zoe Verne, seems to be high on something. Late at night, she leaves the club distraught and is set upon by something in the dark. All she hears is a snarl, and she's dead before she can even scream. Detective Alex Taylor is drifting apart from his fiancée. He's assigned to investigate the murder of Zoe. First, he talks to her roommate. Zoe was a university student majoring in psychology. The coroner knows that her jugular was torn out and not with a weapon. Taylor tracks down her last boyfriend, Troy, the lead singer of a band. He learns that she is a regular at Club Dis, the city's hottest fetish nightclub. Taylor begins investigating the club. There, he meets a helpful regular named Wolfgang, who serves as his guide to the dark world hidden away in the underbelly of London. Club management is not thrilled that Wolfgang is being helpful. As Taylor investigates the girl's alternative lifestyle, he finds himself in leather shops and seedy hourly motels. He finds video of Zoe using drugs and engaging in prostitution. Taylor suspects Zoe got into both at Club Dis. Forensic evidence shows that Zoe was on a new drug. Dr. David Hilton, a man Zoe checked into one of these hourly hotels with, calls Taylor, asking for protection and offering information. But before Taylor can meet with him, Acantha and 3 other Club Dis security kill him in a parking structure. Taylor finds Dr. Hilton was manufacturing this new drug. Taylor's criminal informant figures out that the drug was derived from a fungus called ergot. During the Dark Ages, whole villages were driven mad by eating infected wheat or barley, leading to superstitious peasants to believe in the spirits of wild animals possess them, and thus giving rise to the myth of the werewolf. Taylor suspects that Zoe's death is related to this new drug, but his boss is not buying the pharmaceutical lycanthropy angle. Of course, the management and staff of Club Dis tell Taylor nothing. Wolfgang guides him into the clubs, the parties, and the after-hour retreats. Taylor feels he's being investigated, threatened, seduced, and manipulated by the gang of women who control the club owner's empire for him. Taylor returns to Club Dis in an attempt to bring the owner and his girls to justice. Instead, they beat the tar out of him. But right before they kill him, the SWAT team shows up and saves the day. Or do they? Taylor finds Wolfgang at his home. Wolfgang is the ultimate drug lord. Wolfgang has been drugging him with the new drug this whole time, and Taylor is a perfect user with no negative side effects, just positive ones. Wolfgang tries to recruit Taylor. Instead, the two fight it out. As a pharmaceutical lycanthropic film, there is no transformation and no werewolf special effects, so we're completely out of luck here. Also, with no werewolf in the film, there is no werewolf lore. We do get a werewolf drug that makes its users more aggressive and violent. I am honestly shocked that it took us this long for a werewolf movie to tackle the ergot theory, but we get to cover it now. The ergot theory proposes that many historical accounts of werewolf transformations and lycanthropy epidemics can be explained by ergot poisoning rather than supernatural causes. This theory connects documented outbreaks of alleged werewolf behavior to the consumption of ergot-contaminated grain. Ergot is a real fungus, Claviceps purpurea, that grows on rye and other grains, particularly in damp conditions. When consumed, ergot contains alkaloids that are chemically similar to LSD and can cause a condition called ergotism or St. Anthony's fire. The symptoms of ergot poisoning include hallucinations, convulsions, crawling sensations on the skin, muscle spasms, and severe psychological disturbances that can make people feel as though they're transforming into animals. Historical records from medieval Europe describe cases of people believing that they had become wolves, exhibiting aggressive behavior, and experiencing visual and tactile hallucinations consistent with ergot poisoning. The theory suggests that entire communities consuming bread made from ergot-infected rye could experience collective episodes of lycanthropy delusions. The ergot theory gained prominence in the 20th century as scientists better understood the psychoactive properties of ergot alkaloids. Some researchers have pointed to specific historical werewolf outbreaks, particularly in regions that are known for rye cultivation, as potential examples of mass ergot poisoning. The theory also draws parallels to other historical phenomena attributed to ergot, such as the Salem witch trials and various cases of mass hysteria. However, the ergot theory is strongly debated among historians and folklorists. Critics argue that werewolf legends have much deeper cultural and mythological roots that predate agricultural societies, and that the theory oversimplifies complex social and psychological phenomena. Additionally, not all historical accounts of lycanthropy align geographically or temporally with known ergot outbreaks. Despite these limitations, the ergot theory does provide a compelling scientific framework for explaining how some historical werewolf cases might actually have a basis in pharmaceutical reality rather than just pure folklore. So, what happens when you take the methodological investigation of classic detective fiction and slowly introduce elements that shouldn't exist? When the rational world of evidence and deduction collides with ancient folklore and supernatural terror. The 2006 film Lycanthropy provides a fascinating case study in how genre boundaries can blur to create something entirely different. A detective story that gradually peels back the layers to reveal something more primal lurking beneath reality. And more importantly, how that attempt can fail spectacularly. Lycanthropy operates primarily as a detective story, following the well-established rhythms and conventions that have defined the genre since Sherlock Holmes, and before even. We have our investigator methodically gathering clues, interviewing witnesses, and piecing together a puzzle that initially follows the familiar logic of crime and consequence. The film's opening act could exist in any standard police procedural. There's a death, there's questions that need answering, and there's someone determined to find the truth. This foundation establishes the rules of engagement for both the characters and the audience. The film grounds us in familiar territory before undermining our expectations, suggesting that something supernatural is at work. But ultimately, lycanthropy doesn't substitute mythological folklore for typical crime motivations. Like traditional noir, we discovered that the straightforward murder was motivated by old-fashioned greed. The film teases us with the possibility of the paranormal before revealing it doesn't have the guts to go big. Lycanthropy's fatal flaw lies in its restraint. Rather than allowing supernatural elements to bloom imperceptibly, it hints and then fails to follow through. Early clues that might point towards something otherworldly are ultimately explained through purely conventional means. The supernatural elements become nothing more than red herrings. The film treats ancient folklore as exotic window dressing rather than legitimate motive or cause. It presents lycanthropy as mere curiosity, just as odd as the fetish lifestyle that it displays. The film's debt to classic noir extends beyond structure into atmosphere and theme. Like the best noir films, Lycanthropy presents a world where normal appearances conceal darker truths. The detective's journey mirrors the classic noir protagonist's descent into increasingly morally ambiguous territory. The cinematography borrows heavily from noir traditions, using shadows and lighting to create an atmosphere of uncertainty and hidden danger. It's undeniably cinematic, but the film only suggests that darkness conceals something ancient and primal. It just ends up hiding human criminals in those shadows. Perhaps the most effective aspect of lycanthropy is how it creates tension through discovery itself. Rather than relying on jump scares or spectacular reveals, the film builds suspense through the gradual accumulation of evidence pointing towards an impossible conclusion. Each new piece of information forces both detective and audience to reconsider everything that they thought they knew. This approach requires tremendous confidence in the audience's intelligence and patience. The film trusts that viewers will engage with the process of deduction, especially when that process leads to conclusions that challenge our assumptions about reality, which only makes it more disappointing when the film fails to follow through. Lycanthropy fails because it simply mixes elements from different traditions rather than creating something genuinely hybrid. It's a detective story with supernatural elements bolted on, failing to create a narrative where detective fiction and supernatural horror elements are essential to each other. The film uses folklore and mythology as exotic flavoring for a contemporary story. When treated with the same seriousness and logical rigor we bring to analyzing human psychology and social dynamics, these ancient systems of belief could provide genuinely compelling frameworks for understanding behavior and motivation. But that's not this film. Instead, we get a film that promises transformation but delivers only disappointment. A missed opportunity to show how ancient myths might still have power in our modern world. So, if you like lycanthropes, like, share, and subscribe. Contribute your thoughts and additional observations in the comments below. Let me know what I missed or what you noticed. Next, I plan to discuss Werewolf in a Woman's Prison from 2006. Keep your eye on the moon, a silver bullet in the chamber, and we'll see you back here next episode.